Hey everyone. So I just came back from seeing Fahrenheit 11/9, and yes, I said that right. It is Fahrenheit 11/9, Michael Moore's new movie out. And I know I haven't made a video in a while, but I really felt compelled to at least review this video and kind of give you my thoughts on it. If you haven't seen it already, go ahead and see it. I would stop watching this video now because I'm going to be talking about what goes on in it, what it talks about, and some takeaways that I got from the movie. If you need this video to kind of give you that decision to go see the movie, then fair enough, you can watch it. But highly recommend going to see it is kind of the main conclusion. So this movie, as we all know, Michael Moore is I don't know what a good explanation of him is. To say he's a liberal is pretty obvious, but I don't want to reduce him to one single word. He's a wonderful filmmaker. He's one of the greatest minds, I feel like, of our time right now. He is a huge activist. He really calls out the wrongs and the injustices that are going on right now in our country, and I have a ton of respect for him. So, needless to say, I was expecting huge things from this movie. I went to go see it by myself because I don't know if I have ever seen another movie by myself, but I knew I'd be in my feelings. I knew I just kind of wanted to absorb whatever was coming my way and kind of reflect on it on my own and not have to worry about covering up my emotions or anything like that with other people. And fair enough, I cried. Probably the most I've ever cried in an entire movie. And that's saying a lot because I sobbed during Lion. If you haven't seen Lion either, oh my gosh, watch that. I was crying like a baby. This one, it was a different cry. It was a cry of sadness, cry of despair, cry of anger, frustration, helplessness, hopelessness. It really got me thinking. I feel like I'm pretty involved in activism, and I'm pretty involved in trying to do what's right and focus on making this country better. But this movie, I think, really grounded me and really made me kind of humbled me in a way, in the sense of there's so much more that can be done. And one of the takeaways I took from this movie is that the children are our future. And they were showing lots of clips from the Stoneman Douglas High School students that have been speaking out and doing the March for Our Lives. And again, like, lots of frustration and despair, but also a lot of like awe of how many other people and how many other organizations are doing what's right and fighting for what's right and speaking out for what's right, despite the craziness that's going on in the White House right now. But yeah, so this film basically, as most of us expect, is very anti-Trump, but something that was actually really refreshing in a way, unfortunately, I guess, was that it was anti a lot of things. So Trump was a big component of it, but it actually did not stop there. Michael Moore, obviously being from Michigan, talked a lot about his Michigan, the Michigan situation there in Flint with their governor there, Governor Snyder, basically purposely poisoning people of Flint so that he can make money and so that he can kind of get his buddies to be making money as well. And how Trump almost was enamored by how this man was literally poisoning an entire population of people just for money and just to gain money. And on top of that, too, there's a lot of shots actually taken at Obama as well, which, I went in with an open mind. I was very surprised at what Michael Moore was talking about, but it goes to show that not everyone's perfect. But there's a lot of problems with Obama as well that set up a presidency of Trump that we have nowadays. This movie tackled a lot of issues, from gun violence to Flint, for example, to comparisons of Trump with Hitler, to immigration policy, to the Muslim ban, to sequestering children from their parents, to building the wall, to big pharma and big companies and CEOs, and the tax break for the rich, and talked about Bernie Sanders as well, and talked about Hillary Clinton and her demise and her shortcomings as well. It was a very interesting movie. It was a very fascinating, very multifaceted approach to the topic of essentially where we are today, how do we get here, and what do we do. The what do we do part, in my opinion, was a little bleak. It was a little. It just made me really kind of sad. I just felt sad for my country. I felt really uncomfortable, and I think that was important for me to feel. I think one of the quotes in the movies went something. I'm going to be paraphrasing because I didn't obviously write anything down, but he basically said, we have the sensation of hope, and it's a comforting hope. It's a comforting feeling. It's a passive feeling, but we don't need passive. We need action. We need to take action. And I think that was one of the biggest wake-up calls, is we need to do something. Things are not okay. This country, as much as we try to defend it and try to speak well of it and try to hide the problems of it, it's not okay. America's not okay. America is sick right now. And there's a lot of injustice going on right in front of our faces. And whether we think we are or not, we turn away from it, look away from it. Or some of us try to rally a troop, essentially, and for whether it works or not, there's a lot of hopelessness going on with our current situations. And some of the things that they showed in the movies that really, really irritated me too was a lot of problems in this country are run by one or two specific individuals. And they showed clips of West Virginia's school walkouts and school. I can't think of the word. Strikes. So the teachers went on strike in West Virginia, 55 counties, and I just remember watching this madness. Essentially, that it took literally all teachers in West Virginia to hold a statewide strike for them to get 5% increase on their salary and to get health care. Because one person writing the laws and writing the state legislature didn't want to budge. It's just, this movie was tough. It was tough to swallow. We live in a country where we're promoting democracy and we're promoting, popular vote, but we have obvious flaws with that, in the sense of we have an electoral college. Even though we vote, sometimes those votes don't really matter. They were showing the Democratic National Convention where Bernie Sanders had actually won several states, but the DNC actually kind of swept over that fact, and they announced Hillary Clinton wrongfully to win certain states, and Bernie Sanders eventually really didn't have much of a choice. One of those states actually being West Virginia, and it was interesting. There was the person announcing that Hillary had won West Virginia. There was a sign in the background that said Bernie Sanders had won all 55 counties, and it's just it just tugs at your heart, because you want to think the best. You don't want to be pessimistic. You don't want to have all these conspiracy theories, and you don't want to feel crazy and people are out to get us and all that stuff. But it is a truth that there are people in higher up positions that are not looking out for you or I. They're not looking out for the best interests of this country, but rather the best interests of themselves. And I think our job is to hold them accountable. And this movie, to be honest with you, I don't know if it really gave me a sense of where to go. But then at the same time, too, reflecting on it a little bit more, I think part of it is Michael Moore is doing something. The students from Stoneman Douglas are doing something. The teachers of West Virginia are doing something. What are you and I doing? I'm making this video. Okay. It's not a bad start. But what else am I doing? I went to a few protests. That's a good start as well. But what more can we do? Instead of, I feel like a lot of the times this country, we look to Mueller and are like, oh my God, special prosecution is going to take down Trump. Let's impeach Trump. And we're hoping and hoping and hoping and hoping that all these other people, oh my gosh, well, 2020, the Democrats should take back the presidency, or even in November, hopefully we can all vote for Democrats and they'll, take over like the government. But we can hope all we want. We can put that hope and trust in other people, but we need to do something. And I guess part of the movie showed very average, very ordinary individuals like you or me. I mean, I know we're extraordinary, but seriously though, people from the streets, people from like just blue collar, white collar, whatever collar workers, just anyone that knows about general life in America, and people who have experienced life in their respective states or across America, running for positions, running for elected positions. And whether that's from West Virginia or New York or Michigan, I think that's something that's actually really important. And if we are frustrated with where we're at today, it's a good idea to try to be involved in the process that you're frustrated with, and to kind of infiltrate that process so that you can make a difference and you can voice the opinion of the majority, of the popular vote. I mean, I sometimes think to myself, man, should I run for an elected position? And I kind of laugh, and I'm just like, oh, that's silly. I don't really know anything about politics. I'm not like these people who spent their lives studying this. But at the same time, too, why not? Give it a shot. These people who know politics and these people who have been running this country for so long they're messing things up too. And so if we don't let our voices be heard, and if we don't, I think the main thing is, if we're running in order to fix things and in order to make things better for the people of this country, I think that's really the main premise you need in order to run. Now, obviously, you have to have some knowledge, and you have to kind of have some basis. You can't be completely ignorant. But honestly, if you have that fire in you of things are wrong, there is a problem, I want to fix it. And I want to fix it not for me, not just for me, but for everyone in my state, for everyone in my community, for everyone in this country. I feel like things are going in the wrong direction, and I want everyone else to have a better life because of me, because of my contributions, and because of my activism, for example. I think that's what you need to move forward. So who knows? I still am not sure what direction I want to take. I still do feel like I need a little bit, I need that fire lit under my butt in order to get me moving. It's hard. We have so many excuses that we come up with. Mine include work. I don't have time to take off to, for example, campaign, or, for example, protest whenever I want. I'm scared of, keeping my job, for example. I need to focus on my income. I need that to pave my way for my future. And I think a lot of us worry about that too. I think it's a very basic worry that if we don't walk a straight line, well, what's going to happen? And I think that's part of what makes others courageous. And I think that's what makes activists who they are, is that they take risks. And, you know, I'm not saying I'm going to be, I don't know what I'm saying, really. It's kind of the bottom line. I think it's important to take risks for a greater good than just yourself. And I think it's important to take risks, to focus on things that are bigger than you. And so, you know, at that point, I think I still have to think about, what does that mean to me? You know, I've done protests in the past. I've taken some days off for that. That's a start. But what else can we do? And I don't know. Part of the movie was a little bit discouraging in the sense that, you know, we are fighting and fighting and fighting for this country, for what we believe this country to be. But the truth about what this country is it's not great. And why are we fighting for something that truly isn't for us, isn't amazing, isn't all these things that we dream it to be? I think the point is, though, is to fight for that country that we do believe in, that we want to occur, that we dream of. And so, I don't know. It's a tough video to make. I'm still struggling with my thoughts on it, but I would love to hear any of your comments. While I take some time to think about it too, I think this movie is definitely worth watching, just to reflect and to really mull over, and to help you kind of decide, what do you want to do with your life here? What do you want your past to show? You know, what do you want history to how do you want history to look at you? You know, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So hopefully I'll have a little bit more concrete answers eventually. But the bottom line, I think, is that no matter what we do, it's something. So let's do something. Let's start somewhere. Starting somewhere, an easy one is voting. You know, that's a very easy beginning. Another one, joining protests. Very easy, very peaceful. But then at the same time, too, holding people accountable. Maybe, in this sense, holding people accountable in all positions and all regards. You know, doing what you can do from your position now. Whether your boss is acting inappropriately to a colleague of yours, or whether there's an injustice going on in your job, or whether your state, for example, is just not paying your position as much as you deserve. Do something about it. Focus on that. And eventually, we can start building a better future. You know, there's no injustice too small to be fighting. And I guess maybe that's where I'd start. Start from where you feel comfortable, and then as you gain your voice and as you gain your activism, we can move on to bigger and better things. So, well, that's what I got for now. Takeaway, go see Fahrenheit 11/9. It is a very important movie, and you know, let's try to change this country that we live in. Let's try to make it a better place for all of us. Okay? Alrighty. Thanks, everyone.